Welcome back, tribe. Starting here with this article, Orbiting is the latest dating nightmare fueling Gen Z's disillusionment with finding love on the apps. That's not the only problem they're having. It says, in the realm of Gen Z dating, terms like attachment style, love bombing, and breadcrumbing have turned romance into a nuanced game of strategy and survival. Social media and dating apps have not only buoyed long existing dating trends like ghosting, but they've also created unique circumstances for love seekers to contend with. The most recent, orbiting. It's like they're getting red pill terms and they're finally going mainstream, orbiting, as if that's something new in the terminology, but fine. Okay. Benjamin Camros, who is known as the flirt coach to his 262,000 followers on TikTok, defines orbiting as a phenomenon when a past lover, ex, fling, or even romantic interest remains connected with you on the internet but has stopped directly engaging. Oh, so these are like your secret admirers, pretty much. They just watch stories and then they don't respond to you, don't message you, nothing, but they're just interested in what you're doing. Basically comparing and seeing if you're better off without them. Because if you are, then you'll get a little, hey, big head text in the DMs. It says one or both of you are observing one another. So you're watching each other's stories, you're looking at posts, but you're not really leaving the digital footprint. So no likes, no comments publicly, other than views that can be registered. You're not exactly liking, you're not exactly commenting or sliding in the DMs. You're just sort of there, he says. If you've connected with the lover on social media, chances are you've experienced orbiting, Camros said. While the experience is common, it's not inherently negative. He's noticed that it's caused anxiety and many younger people are trying to read the tea leaves. Jeez. However, at least one dating app, Hinge, is capitalizing on this trend and trying to understand why online dating for Gen Z can be so fraught. To older generations accustomed to relying solely on landline phone calls to connect with a date, the concept of fixating on someone's online behavior may seem absurd. However, for a typical Gen Z dater who has grown up immersed in digital communication, social media norms have shaped their perceptions. Of course, that's the digital world is just as important as the physical one to them. Actually, more important, because you can get ostracized by classmates, by friends, by everybody if you don't have a dating profile, not a dating profile, but an online profile on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, TikTok, whatever apps that they're using nowadays. If you as a young person don't have that, you're like a pariah. There's something wrong with you. You're like serial killer vibes. It's nuts how attached this generation is to technology. I mean, they grew up with the tablet in their face. It's one of the most common questions Camros gets as a younger relationship coach. Someone goes on a great first date, then leading up to the second date, they notice distancing. They're pulling away a little bit, but they're still watching your stories. So then you send them a DM and they don't respond, but they're still active online and you can see their Snapchat score go up. Yeah, they're not interested, but they're too pussy to tell you exactly why they're not interested. It's easier to detach from the person and just go right swipe on Tinder for somebody else than to actually have a conversation and open yourself up to criticism or having somebody judge you or just being combative as they would see it or getting in an altercation. God forbid. This is the same snowflake generation that cries when they don't have avocado and toast correctly made from the barista that's working minimum wage. Their day is ruined immeasurably. He said, at the end of the day, however, these signals don't add up to productive information. Sabrina, a viral online relationship coach with nearly 900,000 followers on TikTok. This is the new grift, dude. Just become a dating relationship coach. Agreed, arguing that social media features have led many young people to delude themselves with signals that aren't meaningful. Tracking someone's activity stipulates a dopamine drop and cortisol high, causing young people to become obsessed with creating narratives that aren't rooted in reality, she emphasized. Yeah, like the Instagram's highlight reel, making everybody look perfect, but they're crying on their pillow at night, miserable and alone. Analyzing digital body language. The pressure of understanding and responding to these cues have become overwhelming for Gen Zers, who now shun dating apps as inauthentic. Dating apps are screwed. Start shorting all the dating apps. That's not financial advice, but it's looking like Gen Z is turning their back on this. In response to apps like Hinge, I've tried to understand the digital age's new and complex forms of communication. Hinge in February referenced digital body language in the new Date Advice Trends and Expertise report, which studied Gen Z's dating habits. This digital body language refers to the kind of signals Camros and Zohar spoke about. Emojis, punctuation, message health, and response time. This is the dating game today. This is the shit you got to look up to and plan for and analyze and study and get well versed in. Emojis, punctuation, message length, response time. Do you think any of this shit matters overseas where people are still humble, grounded, raised in healthy families with the father present? Absolutely not. You will not deal with any of this shit overseas. Unless you go to toxic capitals where the gynocracy is reigning supreme, you'll run into the same issues. But you go to your smaller cities or villages or places that aren't yet completely destroyed by mainstream narratives and influences of the world, then you'll do more than okay. And you won't have to worry about emojis and punctuation. How ridiculous. Like imagine, bro, just being the other side and going on dating apps and you're actively judging some guy because his emojis or punctuation game is incorrect. Or God forbid, he's finishing up his shift and doesn't respond on time when your dating coach with 900,000 followers tells you this is the allotted time he must respond in, or he is not interested, sis. This is ridiculous. I bet you these people are doing private consultations too, making a killing off bozos. These are subtle, nonverbal cues daters give. While the forms of communication or lack thereof may seem trivial, the report's data suggests that it matters. 2 out of 3 Hinge daters say they look at message response time to determine if someone they're talking to is serious about going out. Or how about somebody who's a bum and has nothing to do, who sits on these all day and responds immediately? Like, do you not have a life? Do you not have meetings? Do you not have a job, schoolwork? Do you not have other priorities than finding somebody? 3 out of 4 say that initiating a conversation is a clear sign of interest. Okay. I mean, even the women on Bumble were struggling with that because they had a message first. That was too mentally draining. The Hinge report indulges Gen Zers in analyzing digital body language. For example, the report explains what it means if a Hinge match asks to move your conversation to a different messaging app. The report says this could be a sign of interest, or if they send memes, but they haven't scheduled a date, it doesn't tell you much about what the person is thinking in the relationship. What the hell? Okay. The pivot towards appealing to younger generations is necessary for dating apps. However, it could also be a sign that social media applications are beginning to understand the psychological effects they've had on young adults. No, this is all money. This is profit that they're losing on. They're trying to switch up the game now because the profit margins have been crushed. Do you know why? Because you got to pay for premiums. You got to pay for super likes. You got to pay for like platinum profile. You got to pay to be seen now. It's a pay to win game. They've gate kept and locked away all the decent matches. It used to be good. Everybody could get a match. You were allowed to. The Wild West days where it worked as exactly how it should function. You basically get shown every single profile. Then they got bought out by Match Group or whoever else bought them out. And we're like, how do we monetize this shit? Because now we have millions of people using it. And then they start gatekeeping hard on the men because the men are the ones going to pay. Women are not going to pay for any of this dating app shit. They get to use it for free. They never use up most of their swipes. The dude is just using his swipes all in one day because just the way we judge each other. The average of what a man finds attractive versus a woman is completely different. It's the 90-10 rule. 90% of guys are pretty much invisible. And now they're only scared and nervous and switching up strategies in the way the apps function and punishing ghosting like Hinge is trying to do is literally just trying to punish men and get them deeper into the payment system. It's so stupid. Avoid at all costs. It says people in love have always been obsessive, Zohar said, but now the tools to keep someone in a cycle of limerence are abundant. You get excited when you post that story. You can't wait to see if your crush sees it. And then they don't reach out and you're back on that loop again of what else can I do to get this person's attention. You're trying to control other people, but what we need to start doing is bringing it internally and say, if I don't feel good that this person is orbiting you, set some boundaries. I mean, this is kind of a whack article. The real issue is dating apps are no longer making money just willy-nilly on men desperate, looking for some attention, some sex, somebody, relationships. A lot of them are turning their back on basically becoming pay pigs and walking wallets to these dating apps that even, this is the thing that people were complaining with Hinge. They call it Rose Prison or Rose Hell or something like that. They have a special function called Roses that you give to the prospective match and it immediately matches with you. Or no, it doesn't even immediately match with you. You just get shown that you gave someone a rose, okay? What it does is, as you're swiping through all the profiles, if you don't have this specific rose function, which you have to buy in bundles, of course, like super likes, if you don't have those, you will never get to like the rose marked profiles, which are always the best looking, always the best matches. The algorithm knows exactly your best matches and it gatekeeps them. So even if you have the premium app, there is a subsection called the rose section of best matches that is still gate kept from you and you have to buy roses, aka a super like, a special like. It's so stupid. Men are done being absolutely siphoned for every single penny in their wallet. And now these people are feeling the pain. If we look at the stock of Hinge, let's see. So this is Match Group, it says, and they own Hinge. Who do they own again? They own Hinge, Tinder, Match, Meeting, OkCupid, Plenty of Fish, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they own everybody. And this is look at this. This is the 5-year timeline for them. They peaked during COVID, obviously, because people were stuck, had to use dating apps. They're basically driving to each other's places, having like low-key dinner dates and stuff like this. Nobody was working. Everybody's trapped and horny, right? So they're peaking here when everybody's locked away, forced to use this. And then after everything opens up, instead of keeping their momentum, instead of developing the apps now with this new user base to make it more efficient, using the data they're harvesting to make it easier to find matches, finding out in the algorithm, all the data they're getting, how people are matching, what they're talking about, and improving their apps, they were busting out paid features. They were making it more and more gate kept. They were making it harder and harder for men to even use the app properly. And it got so ridiculous that even the women started complaining. So you're losing your free customers. Forget the paid ones, bro. And they're crashing. So then we're going into 2023. We're a fully opened year. And from 2024, this entire year, they cannot even get the momentum they had before COVID and lockdowns. You see this right here? They were at a high of 87. They came down to 48 on this close. And now they're down to 30. Is there any more upside to these apps? Absolutely not. Men have turned their back on dating completely in the West and are using more organic methods like getting a passport, going overseas, meeting people that are genuinely worth your investment. Because even if you go on this stupid dating app shit, you're going to get some bozo that's going to record you for taking them to a franchise like Cheesecake Factory. You're going to get attitudes. You're going to get chicks that start recording you because you didn't open the car door. I mean, TikTok has absolutely rotten these women's brains. And it's not even worth pursuing them anymore because you're working 10 times more to get 10 times less than what your grandpa got. It's wild. It's hoflation. It's here and it's real. And men have had enough. And this is the response these apps are getting. Nobody decent is using them anymore. Their little pay pigs have all quit, either went their own way or overseas. So what's the upside on this app? Probably not much. I'm going to guess the stock ticker is just going to keep going down. We're going to hit some new lows in the 20s. We'll see. Interesting thing to track. And like always, let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you on the next one.